Hola amigos, ¿qué tal? Stuart here from Spain Speaks with an update video today. I've got to go and get a few things done as I normally do on Tuesdays. Going to go to a supermarket and try and buy a few products, and we'll have a bit of a chat about what's going on in the country on my way there. So venga, vámonos. Now we've got a very strange weather phenomenon happening at the moment. There's been a dust storm in a lot of parts of the country, Madrid included. As you can see, everything is orange. And as I showed you at the beginning of the video when I cleaned the windscreen, very, very dirty car. And everything, as I said, is with an orange tinge at the moment because of this dust, which has come from the Sahara, picked up in a rain cloud apparently, and spat all over Spain, or at least in some parts of the country, this one included. I think it was very strong in places like Murcia, Alicante, Valencian area. So yeah, a weather phenomenon known as Calima, or haze if you like. And as I said, everything with this orange tinge at the moment. So a little bit uncomfortable walking around and a lot of dust in the air. In fact, on my telephone this morning, there was a health warning that the air is not as good as it should be. So people need to be careful if you've got breathing problems at the moment with all of this dust or these dust particles in the air. So a little bit uncomfortable, but the weather phenomenon. Now, on my way to a supermarket, got to buy a few things, and going to check out the prices of a few things, see if they have gone up, which everybody knows that they are doing at the moment. Transport strikes and all of these things happening at the moment, so prices affected. So I'm going to go and check that out. Don't know if I'll be able to film inside the supermarket because those things are illegal here in Spain. Very strong data protection laws here. So not easy to film inside any public space, but I'll try to take a few pictures if I can of the prices of things like olive oil and a few other things that have gone up quite a lot in price recently, and we'll see if there's any empty shelves. I expect that there will be when it comes to things like sunflower oil, canola oil and things like that. People washing their cars, getting the dust off. Two people doing this exactly the same thing. That guy's actually got a brush out, so maybe he's had experience in Africa. So what's going on in Spain at the moment? Well, the Prime Minister came out yesterday and said that the government is working on ways to lower energy prices, fuel prices maybe for certain sectors. Don't know if it's going to be for the entire population. I hope it is, because as we know, the government at the moment is absolutely killing it when it comes to fuel prices, especially with the VAT. And I read in a news article today that 40 euros of every tank filled up here in Spain goes directly to the government. So making an absolute killing at the moment on fuel prices. 21% VAT on fuel. And some people are saying that that needs to be brought down to 10, or at least the fuel sector is saying that, in order to give people a bit of relief at the bowser. So we'll see if Mr. Sanchez and company listen to that. Sanchez was on the television last night, interviewed on a television station here called La Sexta. I didn't watch the interview because not really interested in what Mr. Sanchez has to say. Normally like to read it the next day in the press and get their point of view. And he also mentioned that they've started seizing Russian assets. Apparently there's one of these mega yachts in Barcelona that the Spanish government has seized. The Russian oligarch in question can't access that boat. Not sure if he's interested in accessing it or not. So Spain, following what other countries around the world are doing when it comes to the assets of these extremely wealthy Russian business people, let's say. And I wouldn't mind being a businessman if the government gave me a state asset and said, here you go, that's yours, do whatever you want with it. And let's say, for example, a gas company or a petrol company, an oil company, or some of the state asset given to these people, And that's what governments around the world are trying to do, affect these people's day-to-day and their wealth. The owner of Chelsea, as we know, Abramovich, I think his name is, had his assets seized. Apparently I read that he's now in Israel because he's an Israeli citizen. He's got various citizenships, which is surprising. He's got Portuguese citizenship, Israeli citizenship, Russian citizenship, obviously. And I imagine he's got British citizenship as well. So not short of a passport or two, the owner of Chelsea. So we'll see what happens with regard to these people, whether it does indeed affect Mr. Putin's war plans, and whether or not these people having a word in his ear will change the situation. I don't know, but that's obviously what some countries are hoping will happen. But isn't it amazing the wealth that these people have? Super yachts all over the world, mansions, incredible wealth, and as I said with the case of the Chelsea owner, citizenships in various countries, so they just move around the world as if it were their oyster, as we say. So a privileged life these people must be living. Now, Mr. Sanchez also said that Spain is going to increase defence spending. There's been a lot of pressure on his government to increase it to 2%. Apparently it's 0.9% or just under 1% currently, and a lot of pressure on him to increase it. Obviously Podemos doesn't want that to happen because they don't want any more spending on things like defence. I said a few weeks ago that if it was up to Podemos, they would probably get rid of defence spending altogether, because they believe in a world with no wars, no aggressors. So that would be their plan, I imagine. So Sanchez saying that he will, in fact, increase defence spending here in Spain to 2% of GDP. And he also said that he has to do everything in his power to stop Vladimir Putin. So that's also the reason for that increase. And also the international pressure, as I said, the NATO pressure to increase that spending. Now, it was the 2-year anniversary yesterday of the lockdown that we had here, the first state of alarm, when the government shut everybody in their homes for 2.5 months, I think it was. Yesterday, the 14th of March, was the day that happened back in 2020. So an unfortunate anniversary, in my opinion. And as we know, Spain had one of the more severe lockdowns in the world. We couldn't do anything for that 2.5 months. We could only go to the supermarket and to the pharmacy for essential goods, and smokers could also go to the tobacco shop to buy their fags, as we used to call them. So those were the things that we could do during that time, and so celebrating, I don't think anybody's celebrating that date because it was a terrible day, but it just goes to show how quickly time flies and how quickly time has flown since this pandemic first began back in 2020, when the world changed forever. Now, I'm at the supermarket now. As I said, I'm going to go in and maybe I'll turn the camera on and try to get a few images if I don't raise suspicion or arouse suspicion, as they say. So I'll see if I can do that, because I think it would be a good idea to have a look at the cost of some of these key things in here at the moment in Spain. So I'll wrap this part of the video up, and as I said, try to get a few images from inside the supermarket, and we'll see what the cost of living supermarket prices are at the moment. And as we know, they have been rising over the last year or so given the inflation, and I imagine that some products are going to be very expensive at the moment compared to a couple of years ago. So we'll go and check that out. Empty shelves here, empty shelves here. These things here obviously flying off the shelves. Things like pasta, we can see here empty shelves where there's no oil. Price of eggs, and the price of chicken, and the price of sliced ham, and the price of some of the cheeses, oranges and bread, fruit and veg, and mints, imported beer and local beer. Okay, so the shopping's done and dusted. Not a bad experience. There were some empty shelves, especially when it comes to sunflower oil and canola oil, I think, empty shelves. And also there were quite a few empty shelves of olive oil because people are buying up in bulk. Not a lot of flour, no salt, and there was also shortages when it comes to things like legumes, lentils, chickpeas and things like that. Rices and flour also very difficult to get your hands on. But there were people stocking the shelves, and I had a conversation with one of the ladies and she said that it was incredible, some of the scenes yesterday and over the weekend where people were buying up as if there were no tomorrow. So nothing to be worried about, I don't think. Still plenty of food on the shelves in supermarkets, plenty of chicken, plenty of meat, plenty of other products like cheeses, fruit, vegetables, things like that. So nothing to worry about here in Spain. And to be honest, I don't understand why people are going crazy and panic buying. But as we know, we're living in a fairly strange world at the moment. And when you live in a strange world, people do strange things. So I'll wrap the video up there now. Questions and comments, please leave them in the section below. If you're living here in Spain or any other country for that matter, and you have seen food products flying off the shelves in supermarkets, let us know in that comment section below. Give the video a thumbs up if you liked it, thumbs down if you didn't. I'll see you in the next one. Hasta luego.